Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is Eli.
Hello, I am here today.
Back from the dead, and Unoclay.
Hey, everybody. Hi.
So before we get started, I'm actually kind of sick, so I'll probably be coughing periodically through the podcast. Even though it doesn't really sound like I'm sick, it's more of a throat thing. But anyway, let's get on to what we've been playing. I've just kind of been continuing playing Star Fox Guard. I'm on the final planet. So how it works with not levels, but there's individual levels you play, obviously, but each time you gain a level, experience-wise, you gain a new mission or whatever, and there's 50 of them. And I figured that meant by the time I finish the main campaign, I'll get to the level 50. But apparently that's not how it works. You'll probably get halfway through. I think I'm gonna be at least by 25 when I finish. And then I guess the rest you unlock by playing online challenges, which I haven't tackled yet, but it should be... I'm not sure how it's gonna work, because they'll send you notifications, as they call them, of some people's levels of what they made, and so far they're only level 50 people, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. How am I supposed to beat these? So I don't know how hard the levels are online and who's been making them, but it'll be interesting to see if the only people who stuck with it were just really hardcore and made it all intense and difficult, kind of like Super Mario Maker, or if there's some actual easy levels. But
yeah, that's inevitably the problem with online communities, because you quickly find out there are a lot of people who like the game more than you, or have natural innate talent greater than yours, and it's can't ever find a game where people are just kind of average like me,
Yeah.
or make things for average people like me or something. But yeah. But overall, great experience. What would you give the game on your scale of one to what's our
305.
What's our scale in here? Yeah, 1 to 119 or something, or what?
Oh god.
That sounds like a valid scale.
Yeah, I don't know what our scale is. We never really talked about it. On a scale of Troy Fullbuster, Mike hating it, and swearing and cursing and saying it's Miyamoto's worst game ever, and that's saying a lot. I'm only channeling Mike, all the way up to uber positive fanboy Flea saying best game ever, period. Where would you rank that game?
So I don't know on that scale. On a conventional scale, I'd probably rank it a 7.5 or an 8. It basically, if you like it, you're gonna really like it. It's pretty easy to tell, like I've said before. I'm definitely not gonna reach level 50 because how much experience you earn from each level is not a lot. So it would take a very long time to reach level 50, and by the time I finish the main campaign and even the extra missions, maybe I'll get to level 30, but that might be pushing it. It would be insane. But it's funny that you brought up Miyamoto and worst game ever, pulling jokes that Mike does, but I think this game exemplifies why Miyamoto shouldn't really do big games anymore, because when he has a smaller budget, he can do these weird creative things. I don't want to say gimmicks, but he can flesh out these really interesting ideas that aren't really necessarily fit in other big games. So Star Fox Zero, the controls were all weird and wonky and blah blah blah. But maybe if he didn't have to make a game and felt I want to make something with these controls, I have to force it in this game because it's the only way I'll do it. By having an outlet by making smaller games, he could actually, use those controls and those different ideas to its fullest potential.
I mean, I grant what you're saying, but that's going a little far for me to play the the other side of that argument, because sure, he had a game, he was largely involved with the game Star Fox Zero with unpopular controls that didn't work out. And you know where I'm going with this. And sure, Star Fox Guard is not, a AAA title, but that would be discounting everything else he's ever done that could be called gimmicky if it wouldn't have been a huge success, so.
I
maybe
guess I just mean like in the last couple of years with the things that he's done, I think he's more suited towards smaller games just because then he doesn't have to be tied down to a franchise like, oh, this franchise, it works this specific way, and I'm going to try to like force something in it that doesn't really work. But if I made something, completely original, I could make this idea work much better because it's not constrained to, preconceived ideas and whatnot.
Sure.
That's just where I'm getting it from.
Sure. I mean, that's fair. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I think he was, it's so hard to say with him just to play the defender since we are a Nintendo's podcast. I don't feel weird doing that. But I mean, it's so hard to tell with him what he does sometimes in recent history that it's like almost a hard argument to have because you're like, Super Mario Maker, love it or hate it, it's a great idea. And he was like the producer for that. And I think that's what he's been for a lot of things, like the producer. Yeah. And so you're like, that's even with movies, it's really hard to know. Like, so what did you do or bring to the table? You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a difficult thing to like debate about because if you just look at his like list of games he touches, you're like, yeah, like, so then, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I feel like unarmed to have that discussion because it's like, I would have to be way more nerdy and know like, oh, well, specifically in, Mario Kart 7, he was involved in the innovation of blah, 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 and I don't. So, I don't know. Elia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I zoned out. We're talking about Miyamoto and whether he should take on small games, right?
Yeah.
Something to that degree, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I want him right now. I really don't feel comfortable committing either way because Project Card is a solid game, and I'm really happy it was a thing that happened. And compared to the actual AAA game Star Fox, it's better. So I don't really know, and we don't really know what sort of thing he's doing in an official capacity. Like, his name's in the credit of this stuff, but we don't really know what his contributions are. They've been saying that he's been training younger developers recently. It's probably a good thing. So I'm kind of non-committal. I hope that he's still testing games and pointing out things that aren't fun and stuff, but man, I mean, Star Fox, the gyroscope and everything was his idea, and that was clearly not for the best of that game, and there have been a lot of recent mistakes made by him. On large games and
Paper Mario.
so I'm non-committal. Obviously, I still want him working and I want him looking at games and training younger developers. But you look at a game like Splatoon, which is literally the young team that Nintendo put together. Miyamoto had nothing to do with it, and that was just incredible. So.
Yeah, but see, he's listed as a producer on that game, I think. So it's like, again, it's like it plays to what you're saying to some degree. We don't really know.
Yeah, exactly.
That small team and like be like, make this funner, make that funner, make that funner. That's not a word. Make it funner. You know what I mean? Like, and do that all day, or did you know what I mean? Like, or did he get his hands dirty? It's so strange because that's why I always am like hesitant to criticize him and go all like anything on him. I'm like, no, you're at this point it is good that like if that's what a smart company does is use your older team to train up the younger team. And take them off heavy-duty lifting projects and have them be troubleshooting and have them trainers. So
yeah, and the poor guy's like 65 now. I mean,
something like that.
He's been working for so many years. He's 63. I think like he needs to take a year off and just find himself in the woods again. Then he can come back if he really wants to. But he's been working for so long.
He is going to die in Nintendo headquarters. You know it's going to happen. He's not. I mean, he's probably the head of Super Mario Run right now because they want to come out big on iOS. So they probably just put him on that and are like, okay, like you have to be the guy like that makes this humongous follow up to Pokemon on phones. Where it's like, okay, we have arrived. Like we're not a joke. We sell millions of copies of any app we put out. Guaranteed he's spending a lot of time on that and whatever NX, stuff is on his plate too. He's going to be busy for the next 5-6 years, like once again, I don't know. I hear you. Mm-hmm. Like it's no good for anyone to burn out and be chained to a desk for their whole life. So who knows? I don't know. It just doesn't seem the way that some companies work like this. So.
Cool. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. Eli, you've apparently been playing a lot of games, so why don't you talk a bit?
Well, not a lot, but after I haven't been on the podcast for so long, my 20 minutes a day or whatever builds up. So I played, I guess Nintendo first. I played Yokai Watch 2. It's not very good. Like the first game, I feel like I gave it a pass on a lot of things because it was like new, and it reminded me enough of Pokemon, and it was enough different from Pokemon that I was like, all right, this is actually a pretty cool game to play. But playing it again, I realized that it's really just full of fetch quests and boring repetitive material. Like, go here, talk to this person, go there, talk to this person, go here, talk to this person. Finally, you can battle a yokai. Maybe you'll catch him, probably not. If you want to catch him, you got to fight him like 12 more times. And it's just a hassle. And getting through the game was just kind of a tedium.
Did they change much in it? Sorry.
Well, they added a few things, like they added kind of some stats, but it's still not very deep. The combat system's still kind of boring and slow. The big thing is it's slow. I wish there was an auto battle system where it would just go quickly, but it already is auto battle, but it goes slowly, and it's just annoying. I wish that I wish there were other improvements made. Like, you'll go online and play, battle someone, but it won't really matter, it won't do anything, because you can't build up the stats like in Pokemon IVs, EVs, to where it really matters. So those are a lot of my issues with the game, and apparently it didn't sell very well. I think I saw the sales numbers of like 85,000 or something.
Yeah. Interesting. It seems like Yokai Watch is specifically more for kids, whereas Pokemon can be like
definitely
has enough depth for adults, like with the championships and all that.
Yeah, it's definitely a kiddie version of Pokemon, which is kind of funny to say. Any other questions on Yokai Watch 2?
What are the differences, I guess, between the two versions, and were you bony or fleshy?
So I took bony.
You took the bone?
So I was talking to Sean. He's like, "Do you want bony, fleshy, or do you want both?" Because he was the one that had the games, and I'm like, "All right, just send me bony. It's fine. I don't need to play both. It's bad enough that I have to play one."
Sean sends Eli the bone. You're an exclusive on the podcast.
Yeah. So I don't really know what the differences are. I think that there's some yokai that are exclusive to each game, but overall the plots are the same. And in fact, at the beginning of the game, it asks you which donut you want, and the donut you take pretty much determines which team you side on, I think. And so you can choose the fleshy donut at the beginning if you want.
That's disturbing. Here, eat this fleshy donut made out of human carcasses.
Well, it's not made out of human carcasses.
I like not knowing anything about this game other than, it was some kind of Pokemon type of game. Listening to you talk about it is utterly hilarious.
Let me tell you, Clay, I know that you're a huge Pokemon fan, just ready to throw your Pokeballs at people.
I love listening to you guys talk about it. Honestly, I find Pokemon amazing, period. I really do.
Let me tell you, but I'm super excited for Sun and Moon, so...
And the demo's dropping tomorrow. That's going to be awesome.
Big day.
All right, some of the other games I've been playing, so I finally beat Deus Ex, and if you remember, I bought that game, I think, before I went back to school, and I played like 2 hours of it, but now I finally got around to finishing it slowly and steadily.
Which Ex are we talking about?
Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Okay.
And that's a new one.
Right on.
And it's really good. I'm really happy I played it. It's like an RPG, but a shooter, and you can also play stealthily if you so choose. Okay, how do I describe it? It's like...
everything.
If you haven't played Deus Ex before, it kind of just throws you into an environment. It's like, all right, get to the objective. And you can go and just shoot everything up, or you can stealthily get through it. What I really like about it is that you can, I did a lot of hybrid stuff. Usually I would sneak through as much of the level as I could, and employ some sneak tactics, and you can upgrade different skills. For example, I upgraded my hacking ability all the way to the top, which made it easier to do stealthy things. and see through walls and stuff like that. So you can choose what to upgrade, which will help you in your playthrough path. You can apparently get through the whole game without killing anyone. I didn't do that. I murdered everyone, but I did it
Like, I'm not
stealthily.
that nice.
No, I like, and I also like. Ooh, I'm not a huge fan of stealth games because the second you get uncovered, it seems like you're pretty much gonna die, and you're really vulnerable in a lot of stealth games, which I really don't like, because I hate having to reload the level and everything. And in Deus Ex, you're not as vulnerable. If they spot you, it's not a death sentence. You can just improvise and you'll probably be okay. The story is good. You got dialogue boxes, entries like in Mass Effect. I wish there were more of them. That's probably my only complaint, is the last game had a lot of dialogue trees. This one is a little bit less so. It seems like your voice doesn't really matter as much, which is unfortunate because that's one thing I really liked about Human Revolution, the last game. But still, really solid, looks good, like the story. Also, this may just be me, but I wish the game was a little bit longer. I think it took me like 18 hours maybe, 20 hours. I think the last game was 30. So I just kind of wish it was a little longer. So.
That's funny. I had the opposite reaction to Human Revolution because that's the only one I've ever played. That was why I asked, because I thought there might be a new one, but I didn't know if you for some reason had picked up a cheap copy of the Human Revolution on Wii U.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know Human Revolution or Deus Ex was a franchise until I played Human Revolution, but I played that on the 360, and now I'm in love.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good history to that, because I know Retronauts, even technically the podcast Retronauts, one of my favorites, by the way, like they covered, I believe, Deus Ex, the original, one time, because their criteria has to be older than 10 years, which they admit feels flimsy sometimes because it doesn't really seem very retro, but that series is so big. It might have been another one of their podcasts that they handle, but yeah, it's always been a very popular series apparently. I liked Human Revolution. I never finished it because it felt like I was doing the same thing a lot, and I got kind of bored of it, that it was like, well, get into this base, sneak around, kill people. And it also felt, and I'm curious about this with the new one, it felt like you could get yourself a little too OP by like leveling up too far. And like you said, you leveled up like your hacking abilities or whatever. And I almost had to self-handicap, and I have to admit, I'm not saying the game was bad, for the record. I liked it. I think it's a cool game. It's not entirely for me, but it was pretty fun. I did play a lot of it. But I felt like I was OP to the point that I almost had to self-handicap and not spend my experience points, because I was like, I'm getting too strong. Like, I can literally, like, do anything, I have so many weapons, I have so many options in any situation. Did it feel like that, or did you feel like it was kind of balanced well with the experience trees and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I played on the normal difficulty. I didn't go on hard, so maybe on hard it'll be even more challenging. But I didn't really have a huge problem with the difficulty. I still died a fair amount of times, and I was upgrading. I upgraded a bunch of stuff. I felt like the upgrade options were a little more diverse. It wasn't making the difference I felt between this one and Human Revolution is Human Revolution with upgrades made you legitimately more powerful. I think you'd agree. Whereas, in Human Revolution, whereas in Mankind Divided, the upgrades just open up new avenues for you to get through the game, which I appreciated. And it didn't necessarily make you more powerful. It just kind of branched out the ways you could get through a level.
Wow, that sounds kind of cool, because like maybe that's the case with, I mean, it sounds like it was not, perhaps. You're saying it was not the case, that there were maybe hidden paths in Human Revolution. One of the things about those kind of games with me, perhaps, is that maybe I'm dense enough that I'm not always appreciating when a game has layers like that to it. I don't know it, and then I don't appreciate it enough, because like playing Mass Effect felt like that for me, because I was like, it was only later people like, oh yeah, well, the decisions you make affect the game. And I was like, well, how? And then they would explain stuff to me, and I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. The only thing is, I don't know that, since I'm playing the game and I'm not like going back and replaying sections of it. I don't know. But that sounds kind of cool. Like if it literally has different parts of the game based on the kind of like tree you choose to develop in, that's cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, and I mean, to give you an example, like, there was one power, like, there would be areas of certain levels, almost like a Metroidvania even, although some levels you can come back to, but, like, there would be a part where it would have toxic gas, and you could really only get through if you had the breathalyzer upgrade. Or there was another part that, would be you'd have to jump higher. Another one where you'd have to take a large landing, or another one where, gosh, I don't even remember. There's a lot of stuff. So you'll be going through a level and you'll see, or like super strength. So you could lift up a refrigerator to clear a path for yourself. So you'll just be going through a level, and towards the end of the game, you'll just see all these open paths for you, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
You go.
Cool.
All right, one more game I got.
Okay.
And that's Forza Horizon 3. And so I picked it up.
Things about it.
Wait, have you been playing?
No, I was just saying I heard mixed things about it. I was listening to.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Easy Allies and just some comments, some of the reviews.
That's interesting
Some
because
saying good, some saying it was okay.
Because if you go on Metacritic right now, I think it's the only Xbox One game, only Microsoft exclusive with higher than a 90 right now. So
Wow.
I think the general consensus is it's really good. And I'm not one to play racing games.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last Forza I played was Forza 4, and right now we're on 6, and in between there are Horizons. So it's really not like it's been a while since I played a Forza game.
Yes.
So I think it's really good because it's hard for me to describe that. Just the feeling I got driving through the Australian countryside was so vast that you kind of get lost in the world, which I really appreciated. And since you can put on like background music in the back, I just pulled up a playlist of classic rock, which I used to be really into classic rock. Haven't listened to it too much in the last year or two, and just had all sorts of stuff going in the background: the Eagles, Rolling Stones, Beatles, the Who, all this sort of stuff while I was running through the countryside, going 200 miles an hour. The environment was varied and vast, and the challenges were like hitting speed targets or drifting. It was just, if you imagine a racing game and you're like, man, I wish I see a cliff in the background. I wish I could just go full throttle off of it, but you can't because the racing path is on a track and like you can't crash and stuff. This game kind of takes off the training wheels and is like, do whatever you want. So there will be a giant cliff with, a straight path leading up to it, and it'll want you to just speed up as fast as you can and go off the cliff, and it'll measure how many feet you go, and it'll put you up on a leaderboard with all your friends. And, I've got a bunch of Xbox Live friends playing this game, so I'm compared with them, and then worldwide it'll give you a percentile. And there's so many different challenges that even if you're not good at one, it's something else you're probably going to be really good at. And there's, of course, racing as well, but that's almost just an afterthought to giving you an environment where you can do whatever you want, which it was just really awesome. So, I've been playing that. I don't know. I probably played it for 15 or 20 hours, just, like 20 minutes a day since it came out.
Wow.
And that's just a blast. So, yeah, I don't know any questions.
Is it mostly just like, here's a list of challenges, or is there like, I don't know, a campaign or something, or do you do mostly online races?
It's
I guess how do you spend your time with it?
There is kind of a storyline, but it's very open. It's like the most sandboxy game in terms of if you look at the definition. So the way it works is that it'll give you, so it drops you off and there's like some challenges. And after beating a certain number of challenges, you build up followers with each challenge, and after a certain threshold is met, you can either upgrade that area or you can go and open up a new area. And so you're able to just upgrade whatever parts of the map you want. Every time you upgrade, there's new races and new challenges and all sorts of stuff, and you can do them in any order practically. So there's a story, but it's kind of more like, or not a story, there's like a progression, but you can get through it however you want, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. You can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, there's like an end goal, like there's a goal of how many followers to get, and at the end there's like a showcase, a final showcase, which is how you beat the game, but you can get to that follower count doing whatever combination of events you want.
Nice. Unoclay, were you going to ask a question before? Or?
No, I think I have a good idea of what it sounds like. It sounds like a cool game. I like a racing game here and there. It's not something I'm going to be playing unless we get a port of it to NX in like 4 years. But, sounds cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, on a Nintendo show, you can't really, it's not as common to talk about Microsoft exclusives, but it is Play Anywhere, so you can play it on the PC. Or better yet, if you have a friend who has a digital version like me, and you have someone else with a good PC, or if you yourself have a good PC, you can just hook up their Microsoft account and play it that way.
Cool. Yeah, I wanted to. Speaking of that, Record had a downloadable demo, and I was like, oh, I have a Windows 10 computer now. Maybe I'll actually try it out. And I went, and it's like, oh, you have to update to some stupid different version of Windows 10. I'm like, this is dumb. I automatically update it, but whatever. I go find it, I download it. It's some anniversary update. It changes some of my settings. I'm like, the start menu is different. Nope, going back. So I didn't even bother to actually download it and test it. I'm like, nope, I can't handle this new thing. Because it was like a couple of gigs, and I'm like, I'm not waiting around. I already waited forever for this dumb thing to install. I don't like it.
Man, the trials and travails of a modern gamer.
I'm just like, you messed with something that works? I hate you, go away. No. Come back when you fix it.
Oh, brother.
But anyway, enough of my ranting. Unoclay, what have you been up to?
Oh, hey guys. We skipped last week, so I've been very busy with a lot of different things going on in my non-gaming life. I have been building a Halloween costume that's gaming related. I'm still working on my Game Boy Halloween costume, which my wife's a tough critic, and she walked in today and said, "Your Game Boy looks effing awesome." And I'm bleeping the F. And I was like, I know, thanks. But it's been that's been a lot of my free time is because I was painting it, and I'll try and post a picture for the blog once it's done, maybe with me inside it or something. I am a little concerned because I built it slightly too small for my, how would you say, my torso. Okay. No, my head is just fine. It's more like your chest is bigger than your shoulders, or at least mine is. And so when I breathe, the Game Boy bends a little bit because it my rib cage expands. So I'm a little concerned. It's made out of air.
You've breathed life into the Game Boy.
Yeah. I'm gonna breathe some life into that mo. But yeah, it's coming along. So that's been the thing I've been doing that's gaming related. It's gonna be pretty funny. I have a feeling as long as it doesn't break. Plus, I have to ship it to Las Vegas for Halloween. So if it gets there in good shape, so yeah, there's a lot of factors here. But maybe I'll take a picture before I ship it. So right, I should have done a making of video, and I never wanted to bother to set up the tripod because I could do one of those time lapse videos that would be pretty funny to watch, but I didn't. So there's that, another regret in life. Other than that, gaming wise, I've been playing. I went to a couple. My younger brother lives in a pretty hep town in North Carolina called Asheville. So if we have any listeners from there, feel free to give us a shout out. It's a cool town in the mountains in North Carolina, and I was there to visit him, and there were a ton of retro game stores, a ton being actually, it's a small city, a large town, but for the size of town there were 3 retro game stores I was able to hunt down. One I knew about, 2 I didn't know about, that had never been there before. And it's a very hip town with a lot of young folks, so it's not too shocking because it's the kind of place where you could see there being a certain retro community, or it's the kind of place with like more vinyl record stores than coffee shops type of place, so there's hip people there is what I'm trying to say. And games these days go along with that a little bit in some areas. So I picked up quite a big stack of NES games. I'm not going to get into all of them because I haven't played most of them yet. I'm kind of putting them in the queue and saving them. I don't just get home and play them all at once. They're mostly cheap ones. The only one I tried out this week, I picked up. I've mentioned before, I have an interest in kind of crappy games in a way. I enjoy playing them. First of all, they're cheap to collect. That's a bonus. I can all attest to. But secondly, the NES library is so big that even though I grew up in that era, there's just so many games you've never heard of. Even if you were the most devoted video game player kid, and read Nintendo Power every week and other magazines, I still regularly see games I've never heard of, and that's what's really cool about it. It's like being a record collector kind of thing. You're like, wow, what the heck is this? Like, I have never heard of this. I'd heard of the one I'm playing right now, but it's only because there's other games by the same company starring a character named Dizzy. Doesn't sound promising.
Okay.
It's actually not a terrible game. The one I'm playing is called Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy right now. You'll never probably see it on like the virtual console because I think it might have been one of those games that Nintendo never licensed officially, and they would get into like legal trouble with Nintendo. And it's made on a completely non-normal Nintendo cart. It looked kind of janky as a cart. It's like different kind of plastic. It's gold, but not the cool gold of the Zelda cartridge. It's like a little bit like a knockoff gold color. It's the kind of game you probably would have to emulate or buy a copy. It's not hard to find. I've seen it around before. I just grabbed it because the guy only wanted like $5 for it. It's like an adventure game where you walk around and collect items, and then like, it's gated kind of Metroidvania style game where not as well designed as a game like that because a lot of the puzzles are a little opaque and you have to do a lot of backtracking from what I can tell playing around with it for like maybe 2 or 3 hours since I bought it. But it's a cool, side note to the like NES, the millions of side notes to the NES library because I think he appeared in a few games. It was this small company called Codemasters that I believe were like 1 or 2 guys that like made games for NES. So I've been playing that a little bit, messing around with Dizzy, The Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. It's got really annoying, repetitive music in the classic 8-bit style. Besides that, I played some more Bayonetta on Wii U. I did not advance very far because, Matt, I know you've played it, and I don't remember if Eli, if you've played Bayonetta.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't remember what they're called. You know how there are those rooms where it seems like each world or each chapter has a room you can unlock where there's like a challenge and you have to fight the angels and they handicap you somehow. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I found one and I think I'm near the end of the game and I got really addicted to it. I bet you if I checked my play count, I probably played just that room for 4 hours because I'm convinced I could beat it and I just can't. It's the one, if you played it, where you have to go out of body, it's called. So you have to like, as soon as the level starts, you have to drop Bayonetta on the ground and she's like kneeling down and she has a force shield around her that can take 5 hits. And then you're like the ghost of Bayonetta and you have to both defend yourself because if you take a hit, you lose one of your shield points.
Yeah. And you have like, what is it, 30, you have like 2 minutes and there's like 5 waves, I think?
Yes, it's so hard.
Oh my gosh, I tried it. I probably played that like 30 times or something, and I got pissed off, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, forget it. I thought I could have done it, but
yeah, I was convinced if I can beat it, I'll be a better player. Which even not having beaten it, admitting I didn't beat it, after honest to God, I bet you I put 4 hours into it because I like 2 or 3 nights I sat down and played it, and I usually set aside like an hour to an hour and a half for my time in the evening to play a game, and all of a sudden my time would be gone. And I'd be like, I still didn't beat this. And then I'd come back the next night and then like a third time. And then I finally gave up the third time. Like it was like, I got to move on. Like this is crazy. Like how many times I'm playing this. Cause I did see the final boss one time, like on my third sitting, like it had to have been because it was like multiple waves. It was the furthest I'd ever gotten. And then one of the bigger angels with like a sword and a shield appeared, like one of the really mega angels appeared. And I was like, that's him, that's the boss. But I only had 1 hit left and I immediately lost it, and it was like, so in quotes, I played Bayonetta, but I advanced absolutely nowhere. Like I literally made no progress. I played the same screen hundreds and hundreds of times. But that's not saying I hated it. I definitely am better because then I went a little further into the game that night and I could tell I'm better. I was like, much better at timing which time and setting up combos and using the upgrades I've purchased and things like that into combo action and stuff. So all is not lost, other than that, I played a little bit of my old Atari. I have a fondness for an old Atari game called Quicks, and I feel sad for people who grew up after the era of QIX Quicks, because it's a classic Atari game that all it is like kind of fill the screen with blocks kind of game, and it's super addictive, kind of early 1980, probably 1985 or no, it's probably 1982 or 83 game, classic arcade game, classic Atari game. Played a little bit of that because I picked up a copy of that at one of those retro stores that I always wanted to copy for my own collection, and now I have it. So that's all I really played this week. A little bit of modern and a lot of retro.
Nice. Yeah, the people who made Dizzy apparently tried to launch a Kickstarter to make like a new one or something.
Oh,
There's a couple
really?
of things here, yeah. They made like a book, I think, from what I'm reading, and there's some other stuff that they're trying to do like years after.
Funny. That's funny to imagine they're still around. I think they were young, I've heard, when they made the game. I don't really know
Oh yeah.
the history, but I think they were younger programmers, because it's a very simplistic platforming type game, but it's clever and cute. It's sophisticated for the era in that there's lots of screens and it's like an adventure platformer where you have to get the thing and then carry the thing back. But it is cheesy too in that early sense of like there's a lot of like random deaths. Not a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. Like you get killed by something you don't know what it is because the first time you encounter it, like there's a spider web, but you don't know that the spider web will kill you if you touch it. It's just a graphic on the screen, and then you walk toward it, and a giant spider grabs you and kills you, or something like that. And you're like, okay, that sucked. That was totally unfair. No warning. I guess I should have known not to touch the spider web. And then you lose a life, and there's no continues, so you'd have to like cheat and use a Game Genie or something to like make it playable by modern standards to some degree. I don't know what I'll do with that game, but that's cool. I'll have to look that up. It's cool to imagine that people like that are still around. It's just kind of hard to believe because you just figure they just disappeared into the ether, and it's like, no, wait, you're out there somewhere. The people who built this game are still like bopping around on the internet, like, yo, I built this game back in the day.
Yeah, I think on their Twitter they said they're still making games, so that's pretty cool.
It's a small world, huh? Interesting. Well, thanks for that info.
Yeah, I just remember hearing it like some time ago. Moving on. So yeah, last week I said I bought a Rob Amiibo and it came in. Or was it last week?
You were telling
I think
me.
I said.
We were telling on the chat. I don't.
Oh,
think we did
that's what it was. Yeah, because I'm like it was way too recently for me to say, and the podcast was like 2 weeks ago. But I finally got it in, and it looks really cool. It's probably one of like the coolest Amiibo I have, and in general, like they have all the little details, like the power switch on the back and like the coils, and I got the Famicom one, so it says like Super Famicom on it or whatnot.
Jealous.
It's
Famicom one,
really
that's pretty
cool.
rad.
Yeah, I think it was the only one available, but it's the one I wanted anyway. I don't know. It's just really cool that they made a Rob Amiibo, because like you're never gonna get something like that official ever again.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. Awesome. I'm glad you got that one. I'm looking for. I don't have the what do you call it? I don't have the Famicom one yet. Maybe if I saw that one, I might pick it up at some point. But I'm a little jelly, even though I still haven't unboxed my own original.
You only have like 50 other Amiibo.
I know. I can't really complain. I know.
Alright, so moving on. One announcement was Ubisoft finally officially confirmed that Beyond Good and Evil 2, or whatever a new Beyond Good and Evil is, finally in the works, because it wasn't obvious enough from all their Twitter posting and whatnot. But just a little thing. There was a rumor. Sorry. There was a rumor today from I forget who, but that apparently it's going to be an exclusive. Like we heard that a little while ago, but apparently there's a more recent news saying it's going to be exclusive, and it's also going to be have an exclusive reveal, like when the NX is revealed. So that'll be interesting to see if it's true or not, and how.
Wait, what game?
That is Beyond Good and Evil, a new one.
Oh yeah.
It's too bad that it got like leaked. I don't know, for 3 years, because it's not like a big. You know what I mean? It's not like a big bomb they can drop at a press conference. Well,
they did announce it like 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a pretty big bomb no matter when they bring it back. Like, nobody knows anything about that game other than like 2 screenshots and whatever.
Fair enough. I was just thinking more the way like when The Last Guardian got revealed or something like that, where it's like kaboom, that kind of thing. Where it's like, to me, I'm like, well, tell us more about it already. Almost is my snarky attitude, But no, I'll be excited for it for sure.
It should be neat. So apparently an investment banking firm called Macquarie Group claims the NX is supposed to be revealed this week. It sounds like they're just pulling things out of the butt like the rest of us, but Eli, do you have any clarification?
Well, I have seen that Emily Rogers has been she thinks it's this week too.
Yeah.
Not that I mean, her record's spotty. She's like 50-50, but that does mean that 50% of the time she is right. So it's like that's what bugs me is when people have right. You can't discard them completely, but you can't give them credence either.
Yeah.
I want to go on record on the podcast and lay my bet. There is no way they're right, and the reasoning is pretty straightforward and simple. Any company, Nintendo's nuts. I grant you that. They do kind of nutty things all the time that don't make sense. But any company that would want to announce news about their product and they want to sizzle and they want the internet to blow up does not do it when America is in the middle of the craziest election campaign of all time, because your news will be buried within one day. Like, if you don't know that, hire me as your press release guy, because I'm like, guys, Donald Trump will say one thing.
Well, I think the one thing is that, that's true. Is that, like, you won't get any mainstream media attention. That's true. But arguably post-election, I mean, that's a lull, so there's a bigger chance that you'd get on mainstream media. But thinking about marketing it, I heard that if it were to happen this week, it'd be good because next week's their investors briefing. But they're running low on time here.
Yeah.
It's always going to be bad to do it before the end of this year, just because you're always going to have competition on the PS4 side. PSVR, Xbox side. There's never going to be a perfect time, and you can't wait until next year. And ultimately, marketing's really only going to step up January, February of next year. That's when it really matters. So I don't think the reveal date is as important as the 2 months leading up to the release date. I feel like that's far more important in terms of making sure your ads are on point, your message is on point, your retailers know what the hell they're talking about, and the big sites like IGN are giving you good coverage. So I don't know if the mainstream media would have really ever been on their side in the first place. The Wii U when that launched, I mean, there was some coverage. Reggie was on Bloomberg, he was on CNN, but like in the morning at 9 a.m. It wasn't prime time. It wasn't anything like that. So
when are the elections decided? Is it the end of
November 8th?
Yeah, like
8th,
two
so the beginning.
Since it changed. Yeah, it's like coming up. But...
Matt, trust me, we can't wait for it to be over.
I know.
It's eating up everyone. So I have an election job too, so that's eating up my time. But it's taking up everyone's life too. It's insane. Like, people that usually aren't into politics still maybe might not vote, but they're complaining about it, so it's still taking up their thought processes.
Yeah.
The debates the first debate got over 100 million viewers across online and television. It's kind of insane.
I mean, I'm not even American, so whatever happens, I can't really do anything about anyway, or have any interest, or investment, I should say. But yeah, it's getting annoying where it's like, okay, can everyone calm down? Like, calm down, I'm done with this. Like, get out of my face.
It's
same with the NX. It's like, just show it already. Just let's get it over with and then move on with the rest of our lives.
In Canada, if I remember correctly, your election period last time was like 70 days or something. Our election cycle has been going on for 2
years.
20 months now.
Yeah.
2 years at least. It's been 2 years pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, Congress has refused to do anything for a year and a half because of the election. They're just like, oh, there's an election coming in a year and a half. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. Hey, Matt, don't make me come up there and grab you by your Canadian whoop whoop. No, can't say it. Can't say it. Donald said it. No, we love our Super Bowl of politics down here. We do it big.
Grab me by my beaver.
You're grabbing you by your Canadian beaver, brother. Don't make me come up there. And I didn't do it. And if you said I did it, I didn't do it. And that's the truth. And stop saying I said it. So that's that.
It's okay. I'll let you grab it.
Oh man, that's really weird. That makes it really awkward. That's not creepy enough for me. I don't want to do it anymore.
All right, do while I'm asleep. Like Eli said, they're pretty much screwed whenever they launch it, because we're already getting in, even if there wasn't an election, we're getting into the Christmas season or holiday season, where a bunch of other games are going to be advertised in November anyway. So they just have to basically talk about it when nothing else is really going on, so that everyone can, be aware that of their existence. And then what happens after that is just whatever. As long as they have, hey, nothing's happening this day, and then all the focus can be on us. That's all that really matters. I think, at least.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I stand by what I said, but I'm not always tuned into that. Maybe I'm in the bubble of politics too much, to like really see the reasons that our election wouldn't factor into their decisions. I guess I just think you want to grab the news cycle when you have a big product, and it would be like, it just hit me one day. I was like, this would be literally, I cannot think of a worse time to try and make news if you aren't Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Like, if you were anything but them, it's the only thing people care about. It is the only thing people care about, and you wouldn't get any clicks on your news article because you could accidentally decide to have your press release the same day Trump, like, I don't know what he can do at this point that would be more amazing. Like,
if he breathes, there's going to be an article about it, so you're screwed anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
he ate a chocolate bar. News!
Eli's right, because it's almost like people are sick of it, because I hit that level a little bit, and I'm a total political junkie, and I hit that level a few weeks ago where I was like, Jesus, dude, is there a day that goes by that I don't have to, like, read an article about you? Like, like, really? But, I mean, then he just tops himself. He's literally amazing, no matter how much you hate or like, what, him, like, but he's amazing. He is amazing because there is nobody who gets in the news this much of anyone of all time. He is breathtaking in terms of a newsmaker. So I just wouldn't want to have anything I'd want to put in the news if I was a competing company. He's an entertainer, So.
I gotta duck out. That was nice talking to all y'all again, but I'm super busy.
All right. Before you go, I just want to clarify one thing about Emily Rogers. I was just reading her Twitter like a couple hours ago. She said it's likely not going to happen this week because there's like a holiday on like Monday and Wednesday or something, and then or Tuesday and Thursday, or whatever. There's 2 holidays this week, and then there's the Pokemon demo, and then I guess they wouldn't want to do it Friday, so pretty much. I guess don't expect it this week, but maybe, I guess next week is basically the last week unless they're going to do it October 31st on a Monday, which I doubt. So if it happens this month, it should be next week.
Clinta on my IGN, one of the remaining 6 of us, Clinta posited the idea that, the Black Friday, like, sales period is not that far in the distant future. So since we're all playing the betting game on NX, that's the smart money at this point. I would say that it's like, if you want to grab, granted, they're not going to be selling anything for Black Friday, but getting Nintendo in people's ear right before a sales period like that is not the worst thing they could do, since they will have some things on the shelves for people to buy, get Nintendo hype burning a little bit if they can by getting in the news, so it's a possibility for that, perhaps, who knows, so. Yeah. Well, Eli, nice talking to you, man. Catch up
yeah, nice to talk to y'all. I'll see you soon, hopefully. Or talk to you soon.
We'll see it.
We need the sound effect of a slamming door for someone leaves. Yeah. So it seems like we're all in one room.
That'd be amazing. Get out of here, you ingrate.
Kaboom. Yeah, totally. Like the sound of someone's ass getting kicked like right at the door.
Or oh no, there's on Futurama, you've seen Futurama, there's Mom, owner of the Friendly Robot Company, I think that's what it's called, or Mom Corp or whatever, and she's like, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, and play that instead of anything, and just hear like the door slam after.
Totally, yeah. We got to get on our sound effects board here. We're really lacking over here at this podcast.
Where's our sound effects guy?
Come on, man. Woo! Morning radio. So yeah, what else we got in the news this week to talk about? Is there any news? Is there any news of note?
Yeah. Not really. Did you want to? I guess we'll go into this segment. So Unoclay came up with a segment of just games you should try out before we all toss out our Wii U's for our NX, at least figuratively, because there's not much time until it releases, and pretty much once it comes out, it's going to be dead on arrival. I mean, it kind of is dead. I saw an article on Destructoid of someone pointing out what games are left that are coming out for the Wii U, and it's mostly indie games that you can get on other platforms anyway, so yeah, there's not a whole lot left to play on it, even if you were going to play them on Wii U, but yeah, why don't you shell out some suggestions?
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, it's like, bittersweet to accept it. We've been on this podcast a long time together, and I've talked about my love for my Wii U, and I'm going to be sad when it's outmoded, and it's going to be tough if a lot of things get ported. Well, I own almost everything that is of note on Wii U. I mean, barring a couple exceptions of like literally franchise games that I don't have an interest in, like Xenoblade Chronicles and stuff like that. Everything else, practically, I can't think that I would be lying to say I own almost every good Wii U game. I mean, and I know the har insert joke. Yeah, that's only like 5 games, but no, it's seriously like, like I have like at least 20 retail games on the shelf down there for Wii U, and then a pretty good number on the hard drive. So, yeah, when I thought that idea to you for something to fill out this like kind of newsless week, I was thinking, well, what are the things that we can talk about that are like recommendations of stuff on Wii U, maybe that are like stuff you should play while you still have it. And then maybe like next week, if Mike and Eli can come by next week, we could talk about 3DS in a separate episode. Since that's probably going to probably hit the shelf fairly soon if the NX rumors are true, about kind of a combo system.
I don't know. That at least has like some games actually coming out for it still. Like
Sure.
Some notable ones, but
Sure. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Just not to derail.
Like that's the one console like that's still getting support. Wii U is just kind of like, I'm here if you want, maybe.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like actually, we didn't talk about Color Splash at all this week because I'm assuming no one played it. But I'm curious about it. Like I'm waiting with bated breath for you guys to tell me it sucks, or tell me, it's pretty good, this one, because the pictures I've seen, the screenshots look cool. I didn't watch too much about it.
I haven't played the game, but I can tell you some things I've heard about it.
Yeah, go on, please.
So the main through line is that the writing is really funny. It's really cheeky and humorous. So a lot of people are loving that. Obviously, the art style is really nice. You can see it for yourself. Music is pretty good. A lot of varied areas. A lot of fun little quests, like bite-sized story pieces or whatever. The only thing is the battle system is, from what I've seen and heard from some people, basically sticker star. So if you didn't really like that, then you may not like this. It sounds like from various reviewers I've heard saying both positive or being positive and negative towards it. How you enjoy the game is entirely dependent on how much you're willing to overlook the gameplay for the story. So if you don't care that the gameplay is kind of lacking and not stupid, but I guess just lacking in a certain sense, but you're willing to look over it because of the story, then you'll have fun with it. But if you're hoping that the gameplay does a little more, and story is somewhat secondary, then you may want to hold off on it.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off no matter what until you guys give me the green light. You or Mike or even Eli get a hold of it and play it a little bit and give me the feedback, because you guys have stuck by it a little tighter than I have, and I'm always waiting for the word. Like I've said it before. I'm waiting to hear someone tell me I need to play it, that it's a return to the roots, and the series is back to where it's a must play thing. Because Paper Mario on Wii was well received, and I thought that game was too easy and a little boring. I thought it was really beautiful and fun, but I thought it was a little boring, like at the same time. And when you say that the battle system might be a little less than fulfilling, then that is, for me, that's a downer, obviously. But, yeah, anyway, I was curious. I didn't know if you grabbed a demo of that yet or anything. I don't even know if there is a demo for it.
No, there's no demo.
Okay, yeah. So, well, anyway, back to the point we were making. We were talking about things that I was gonna recommend, and take any from you. I made a list. I jumped on my Wii U before we came on the air to look at like what are my top recommendations, and then I quick checked the prices on them. So it's like my goal had been like, what are the best bargains kind of when I was looking at it, like, and none of the things I picked as the things I think are best are particularly like the cheapest. Then again, that's not saying much. Like they're all in the $10 to $20 range.
That's not bad.
But yeah, that's not bad. Like, I mean, it depends on people's perspective on what they're looking for. I think every game in the list is relatively worth its value, even though they're smaller indie games. And I won't go too far into it because maybe we could use this in another segment when we got the whole group together, for another one. But like, if I was going to pick two right off the top of my head for people that are like listening and thinking, what should I get for the Wii U? I need an indie game. And most of these I've mentioned in the cast before, so I'll pick one I don't think I have mentioned too much, and then maybe pick one. The two that leap out at me are Chariot, which is a 2-player game. So if you hadn't heard me talk about it before, it's a great 2-player game. I do not believe it is online. It's all local. You can play it single player and enjoy it just fine. But it's a goofy game where you pull King's Chariot through different like levels, like it's platforming basically with really big dose of physics, like platforming thrown into it. And it sounds hilariously strange. The idea is the king's dead, his corpse. You're towing his casket to his grave, nice. And you and a friend work together to do this. And the levels are really well made because there's areas you can't get to unless there's two of you playing, and there'll be a little signpost indicating don't go up there unless you have 2 players. It's like just a 2-player sign. And it's really, the physics are really what make you enjoy it, because it's funny when you play with someone else because you have a hard time doing it. Like the casket will fall off a cliff and you have to quick anchor it with a rope and catch it before it falls down into the pit, and then you have to yank it back up, and then the other guy has to jump across the cliff and shoot a tether across and yank the casket up. And the king's talking in like cartoonish dialogue, like from his grave. He's like swearing at you from inside his casket. He's like, geez, you're bouncing me around a lot here and stuff. You know, it's pretty funny, cartoony dialogue. But what really makes me think, hey, that's a recommended one, is that like for 2 players, you can really get into it working together, and it's cleverly designed that you're like, the challenge is the kind of challenge where it's not annoying. You actually want to figure out how to do it. You're like, how in the hell are we supposed to get the casket up on that perch up there, you know? And you're like, you literally have to sit and work together and think, okay, well, if I jump there, I can hold the casket for like 3 seconds by myself, but it's heavy enough, it's going to pull me off the edge. So you got to get up that cliff like in 3 seconds and get above me, and then lash it and pull it up above you, and then I'm going to trade places. Things like that, where you're like sitting on the couch next to you laughing and swearing at each other because the person falls off the cliff, and or the casket, you know, gets stuck in a tree, and you're like, oh my God, we got to reset the area, go back to the last checkpoint because it's stuck, or things like that, you know. It's $15 currently. I don't know if it goes on sale or not. I think I've seen it on sale before, but 15 is well worth it if you need a 2-player game, to sit down on the couch and play with a friend. And like I said, it is fun by yourself. I actually have a save file going where I started it by myself after I'd played it with my friends before. And it's still pretty rewarding. I still have a good time kind of trying to figure out how to do the sections by myself, and speed runs now that I know how to play the game, like run through the levels faster because now that I'm better at manipulating the tools and moving the casket around the screen and stuff like that. So, don't let its cartoony style turn you off. If you Google it and you look at it, it looks like a kiddie game. It's not. It's actually a pretty cool physics platforming puzzle game. So, that's a good one. Did you ever check that one out, Matt? I don't know if you've ever played that one.
No, I have heard of it though.
Yeah, it's neat. How about I did one. Do you have any recommendations to drop on us? Like we'll trade off. I'll do another.
Yeah,
one
go
after
back
you.
and forth. What was the one I had here? I forget.
Put you on the spot.
I kind of wanted to say some obvious ones, but
no, go for it, man. Like, I mean, people, we appreciate the platform. So, like, even things you might think are obvious, you know, there's probably a good number of people that haven't played them, unfortunately. That's just the reality of the system, so.
Alright, I'll go with one that was less obvious. It was one you actually played and got me into. I actually got in a bundle, but still, the way you were talking about it made me play it, was The Fall. Sorry, The Fall. It's somewhat like a point-and-click adventure game, because there's a cursor and you have to interact with certain objects and whatnot, but basically, you crash land on some planet or something. I think you're underground. It's been a while since I played it. But you're a robot, and oh man, I forget. You don't have your head. I think you get it at the end. Shoot, I really forget, but it's a cool.
I can't quite remember either, and I played it as well too. So
yeah,
like, I remember you're kind of handicapped when you start. You start and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there's some puzzle elements that you have to figure out how to get past certain sentry units and whatnot. I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say because this is really mysterious, which is like the main hook to it. You don't really know what's going on until much later in the game, and that's the fun part about it. Yeah, I guess you can't really say too much about it because then you'd kind of give it away. But basically, it's like a point-and-click adventure game. It has some puzzle elements. The mysterious story is interesting, and the atmosphere is very dark and moody and atmospheric. So I don't know. I guess if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. At least check out like a trailer.
It's a good game. I just saw on Twitter this week they posted some kind of update. I believe that they had promised the second one was coming to Wii U, but the development time is clearly taken longer than that's probably an unrealistic promise at this point, given that their update was basically like, we're letting you know we're still working on the Fall 2 and we're sorry it's taking so long. It's definitely happening. It's definitely a thing. I did not spot any information on what consoles it'll be coming to, but it's probably going to come to your predictable, outlets for an indie game. So, I'm hoping it'll come to a Nintendo platform that I can check it out. I think I had tweeted at the developer when it had come out, and I think I'd asked, I said, tell me the second one is, I don't remember, but I think I'd said, tell me the second one's coming to Wii U. And they said, absolutely, it did well, or something to that effect. Like, we're pleased with the response on Wii U. So I don't recall. It was quite a while ago. But, yeah, it's a very atmospheric game. And, yeah, we talked about it on a podcast like probably like a year ago at least, I'd imagine at this point. But, it's a great game. It's very atmospheric. That's the word you would use. It's probably one of the top 5 adjectives you would use to describe that game, right?
Yeah. So going back to the website, it actually jogged back my memory. So basically, you're this person that crash lands on this planet. You don't really know what's happening. Your ship is destroyed. But the interesting part of the story is that in your suit, there's certain commands that are kind of blocked and glitched out because you crashed. And there's certain robotic laws that you have to try to curtail around so you can get past to the next part. I forget exactly, but basically there's something in your suit that prevents you from going forward, and you have to find a way to trick your suit to allow you to unlock and kind of disable that safety procedure just so you can continue the story. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's like Other M, only a way cooler explanation.
Don't say that. Now no one's gonna buy it.
No, I say it with someone who liked Other M, but this is it is like your Metroidvania, like self-limited type game where like, yeah, Matt's dancing around giving stuff away about the plot. I can sense to anyone listening to this, and he's doing that for a reason because it's part of the mystery of the game is the mystery. But
most is because I forgot. But there's also the mystery.
Spoilers and forgetfulness.
Yeah.
It's really neat because like it's as though your suit is like completely breaking down, and so there's like glitches in it in the game, like very first person-y type like glitchy experience that you're like, oh man, like I'm broken, and like I can't like tell what's going on. I can't access my menus, and that's part of the game, getting like things to work again, like, and so you have abilities but you can't access them yet, and then getting the unlock is in fact part of the game. So yeah, it's a game I've almost like wanted to replay myself because it is like there's I remember the overall arc of the story but I don't remember the details, and I'm like, okay, like I will want to replay it before I play Fall 2 eventually because it's definitely has a pretty good narrative, and that's from a guy who doesn't usually care about narrative, so I liked it a lot. So
it's about it's about $10, probably like 5 hours long or something, so it's not really too long. You could probably spend an afternoon beating it, which is I think probably the best way because it's short and it's just easy to remember what's going on. But yeah, check it out. So what's your next game, I guess?
That's great. You have great taste because The Fall was one of my picks, so I crossed my list. Like I'll save some other ones in case we choose to do this on a future podcast. And I apologize for the noise in the background. There's a helicopter going over my house right now, if you can hear it. fact that I live near a hospital, and sometimes you hear the medicopter going over like really low when somebody's getting evac'd out, so it's kind of crazy. If I had to pick, like, so the other one, yeah, you were right. The Fall's $10. Chariot, I recommend, was 15. So for now, I will go with the one that probably surprised me the most on my list, and is one of the cheaper ones. And this one's hard to recommend for $10. But you know what? I honestly have had $10 worth of fun with it, so I'm going to recommend it. And it's a game called Sports Ball. It is got to be the worst title, right?
That's the one with the birds, right?
Yes,
I
the
think
birds.
yeah, I got it in a bundle. I think I tried it for like 30 seconds.
I
didn't try it too long.
Try it with a friend sometime, Matt, because I know it looks dumb. It's got really, really, basic, simplistic graphics. And it doesn't look like anything special. I had the same exact reaction. I got it in a bundle as well and thought, what is this crap? And I can see why it didn't sell well, because it doesn't sell itself. It does not look pretty. It's got a dumb title. Nothing going for it, But you know what? My friends and I that have sat down and played it on the couch together have had a lot of fun with that game, because for anyone who knows classic video games, I'm obviously a fan. The classic video game it's like Joust meets soccer on a 2D playing field. So, these days, if you reference anything to do with soccer, everyone's going to think of that racing game, the really popular one. I've even played it. Blast Ball. Is that it called?
Metroid Prime
No.
else.
Super famous on Steam, on every platform. Everyone out there is
the robot soccer
driving
ball.
cars.
I forget.
Driving cars. Anyway.
Rocket League.
Rocket League. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Right.
Everyone out there is banging their head on the desk. He's like, you can't remember the name of Rocket League. I like it. I played it at my friend's house. It's a neat game. I'm not particularly good at it, but that's because I don't own it. But yeah, this is 2D. So this is a flat screen, single screen, and it's like Joust, the classic, arcade game, in that you both ride some kind of goose or bird or something, ostrich, that kind of thing. And you fly around the screen, and all you do is try to push the ball in the goal. Sounds really simple, because it is. It's a very indie game, simplistic, one screen type affair. But it has some cool physics. It's fun for 2 to 4 players. And you can really get kind of good at it in this funny way where you can learn to carry the ball a little bit or bounce it and ricochet it into the goal. You learn to guard the goal after a while. The hook to the game is basically the physics are crazy, because the balls will like shoot all around the screen and stuff like that. You can get multiple balls going, because every time you can kill your opponent. So every time the opponent dies, it spawns a couple extra balls. Like basically your dead corpse turns into more ammo. And so, for instance, if you kill me 2 or 3 times right out of the gate, there might be 7 or 8 balls in the field flying around. On top of that, the balls change polarity. So every time you touch them, they orient to you. Say I'm the blue player. If I touch the ball turns blue. And if it goes in the goal when it's blue, I get a point. Simple. But if you're guarding, you can touch the ball right before it goes in the goal, and it turns to their color. So you can like steal the goal. Like there's only one goal on most fields. Sometimes there's a couple, but they're not like one end like soccer. It's like, it'll be like one goal in the center of the playing field, and you're both flying all around it trying to knock the ball in, or balls. And so it's a game where a lot of it is just kind of the humor of like changing sides on the fly. You're like, oh, I'm going to guard the goal now, and I'm going to switch and attack you, and now I'm going to guard. And you'll have like 10 balls going at once, and you're trying to guard the goal in all the different directions. And simple game. But again, I am probably my biggest fondness in all video games is like on the couch, or like 2-player co-op gaming with your friends, competitive or co-op gaming with your friends. Probably my favorite thing to do in life is that, one of my favorite hobbies, I should say, in life is to do that. And this is one of those games that like, once I got it, I was like, this is super fun. This is really silly, simple game that probably the people who developed it knew they had a good game, but just never put the effort into developing it to like be a shinier nugget that everybody's going to like get buzzed about. It's too simple looking to sell you on it. But I'm telling you, for $10, if you're the kind of person who has a friend over and you're thinking, I need a new game to play together, I think if you put the time into it, you're going to find there's like kind of there's a heart of gold underneath it, especially with 4 players. We've never done it with 4 players. We've only played it 2, but you can play 2-on-2 in it and kind of like get real crazy on the screen and stuff. So that's one of those ones that you could easily have missed, like really, really easily have missed. And maybe you want to put it in your queue and watch for a sale. or just give it a thought. It's a good one. So that's it. Sports ball. You'd never remember it with the title. That's why I thought it was a good pick to put in for something you might have missed on the Wii U shop. So there you go.
I don't want to show you up, but it reminded me of another. I won't. This is my pick, but since you brought it up, it reminds me of another game called Star Wall, which is another multiplayer action game or whatever. But rather than scoring goals, basically you're a narwhal and you have to hit the other narwhal with the end of your your horn. And the way the physics work is it's a 2D plane, and you basically have to spin around like in a circle to try to hit like their back or their underbelly and whatnot, and it gets pretty crazy and you're like jousting with horns and whatnot. I
remember hearing of it. Did you play it? I remember hearing it.
So I sort of did and sort of didn't. I didn't buy it, but I remember playing a demo, either at an event or it's someplace somewhere. I played a demo and it was really fun. And if you have a bunch of people over, like it's gonna get crazy fun. It's pretty cool. So yeah, if you're looking at like sports ball,
spell it? Like I wasn't quite clear on like how to spell the thing you're saying.
Sure, sorry, I'm dying over here. It's narwhal, but instead of the nar, it's star, so it's Star Wall.
I just Googled it. I see it here. I did see Keza from IGN. I wonder if she's still there. I haven't heard anything from Keza in a long time. Keza.
No, she went to Kotaku.
Oh, did she? Okay, yeah. Like one of the best multiplayer games of the year, she called it. And then there's other reviews that sound very positive for it. Interesting. I haven't seen this. So this is on Wii U Shop, huh?
Yeah, I checked. It's actually on there. So if you want like a multiplayer game like that, check out Sports Ball and Star Wall.
Neat. I like it. It looks funny. Yeah, it looks like whales in outer space or something. I can't even tell what it is. It looks really funny. So I sort of remember seeing this a long time ago, but there were a lot of like kind of Wii U Shop games that you had to like be a little suspicious of. So I love the tagline here. They say Star Wall is a simulation of dreams in an ocean of the mind.
Oh my gosh.
Alrighty. I hear you. I hear it. And it sounds like a cool game.
Oh man. I guess I'll go for another one. I guess this is pretty popular because they technically did a 3DS game anyway, but I'm still gonna say it. Runbow. How this works is you can play with up to 9 people, and obviously the more players the better because it gets so chaotic. I didn't buy it. Well, technically I have a code for it, but I mainly played it at an event, or technically my school, whatever. I played it for like an hour or so, and it's really fun, especially if you have 9 people, or even, it'll be fun even if you have like 4 people or something. But basically there's platforms everywhere, they're all different colors, and the background changes colors continuously. So if the background matches the platform you're on, let's say the background's going to be orange and the platform is going to be orange, if you try to jump on there, you won't actually be able to jump on there. It'll disappear because it blends with the color. So you have to watch the background for what color is coming next and what platform you're jumping on, and it's really cool.
I forgot about that game. Thank you for reminding me. I played it at my friend's house. We were pretty drunk one night, and like I liked it, and it was fun, and it was pretty funny because we were on some really easy levels. So it was quite a while before I even caught on to the idea about the colors making the platform disappear. Because like I would just die and not really know why, because it's pretty fast, like fast gaming.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember it was like like I said, we were pretty drunk. My wife was going to drive that night, so I was like having a bunch of beers with my buddy, and we were just like drinking some beers. And like I remember just being like, why do I keep dying in that one section? Like what the hell? And he's like, oh yeah, I think I forgot to tell you, like you gotta like watch the colors. And I was like, oh, I remember hearing that. Like you know what I mean? Like I was just, it was like we were on an easy enough level, and there's like different paths and stuff you could take. Like in some sections that it wasn't affecting me, I was somehow making it through without realizing it, you know, like again and again. And yeah, I liked it. It was a neat game. And I heard you can play like you said, like a lot of players all at one time if you had enough controllers. So
yeah, it's insane.
Crazy. Crazy.
I forget if the Wii U has a campaign or not. I'm pretty sure the new 3DS has a single player campaign because I remember they were gonna work on that. I don't know if the Wii U version got the update for it, but you're probably gonna play it mostly as a party game anyway. So like that part alone, it'll be worth it. So yeah, check that one out.
Yeah, that's a good recommendation. For me, that's like the top thing if you're like having a system that, you're not sure what to do with. It's like a really good thing to remember with any video game system is like even, like Wii U or regardless or any other system like console, I should say, is that a lot of these systems have really good party games or like 2 or 3 player games on them that, are worth like keeping the system alive for, or like almost reminding yourself, like check out what else is out there for it. Cause I find that like one of my projects at some point this winter is I need to go through my like retro game catalog and I literally need to make like a list of like all the games that are 2 players. Cause when my friends are over, I can't think of them. I'm like, what do I got for us to play? You will usually end up defaulting at something more modern just cause it's handy and it's like right on the TV or it's something we're familiar with like Smash Brothers, et cetera, that kind of thing. That it's like something we all know. And I'm like, I'll be sitting here playing with my stuff or looking through my games and things and realize like this game's awesome for 2 players. Like I gotta remember to like say like let's play this next time people are over. So I kind of think of that with like the Wii U and stuff like that. It's like, hey, even if you think you're done with it, but you still like the system, like we just named like 2 really good games for multiple players or 3. In fact, Chariot, Sports Ball, Narwhal, Starwall, and Runbow. So that's 4 like games that like you could have your buddy over and be like, hey, the Wii U's not dead, no matter what they told you. It's like it's still got some cool stuff on it, cheap stuff too, and talk all you want about how good Steam is or all that kind of good kind of stuff, which is good. But it's like this is way better for when your friends are over, unless you have a really dope setup. If you have a Wii U hooked to your TV, this is pretty much as simple as it gets. Like here's the gamepad, I'm going to grab the controller, or I'm going to grab a Wiimote, we're going to play, and it's quick and easy. There's no loading, there's no installing. It's like the game's there and ready to go. So it's a good point in the favor of consoles is how I feel. So Well, what else we got, man? It's just you and me. What else we got to talk about? Politics?
No, not really. Here's a question. So there's some games from my humble list that I haven't played yet for whatever reason. Man, the only thing that's dying on this podcast is me. Never mind Nintendo's Wii U. Yeah.
You sound effect.
So Affordable Space Adventures. I haven't gotten around to play it, but as far as I know, it's like you have to play it co-op. Did you play it co-op or by yourself?
I played it by myself, and it was also on my list, so I'm crossing it off. But it's totally, totally good by yourself. It's
okay, because I was worried that I'd be like, I can't like physically do both tasks, like it'd be too cumbersome or whatever.
You may be remembering once or twice in the podcast I mentioned that there are some levels where it is not insanely, that's too strong a word, very difficult by yourself, and that I thought I wish I could teach my wife to play this for like 5 minutes, just to like hold the controller and do this one thing while I do this other thing so that we can get through this faster, and I had to like spend a lot more time learning to do it myself. But you're an advanced gamer. The DLC that they dropped for free on people who already owned it, and I think comes as part of it now if you buy it now on Wii U, those levels are like the mega hard levels where like I'd never quite finished 1 or 2 of them, and I know that like that's probably what I should do. I should teach someone else how to play the game and be like, pilot the spaceship for like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna like manage the guns, or I'm gonna manage the flashlight or whatever that I need to do here. But that game is amazing. Can't recommend it enough. It's $20 right now on Wii U. It's one of those games like they keep the price high because they know it's kind of a good game, and it is a good game. For what it is, given by modern pricing, I feel like $15 is a little bit of a better price, but they don't discount that one very often. So if you're at all interested, it's probably worth it because it's a cool sci-fi adventure with a cool plot and stuff. Did you say you bought it? It's in your list to play. It's in your queue.
Yeah, I got like a humble bundle, one of the Nintendo ones, and there's just one I haven't gotten around to. I've played some of the other ones though.
That's a great game. You're really gonna like it. Sit down and give it its due when you do. Like don't play for like 5 minutes. Play it for like a half hour to an hour and get well into it, because it'll kind of open up after a little while, like so to speak. It'll open up a little bit, and you'll start to get the feel for it. It's a little bit of physics, a little bit of adventure, a little bit of a narrative story, and play it to the end. Because like I know Leah finished it, I think, and a few other people I know have finished it, and everybody like kind of remarks on how cool the ending is, and it's like, yeah, it is. It's a good game. It's not super difficult to finish. You can do it if you put your time to it. It's probably a 5 to 10 hours. I'm not good at gauging that. Like 5 hours ish, 6 hours ish. If you just sit down and play it, not super long. But you'll really like it. I remember that when that was part of that indie bundle, and I thought that's the best game in the package. Like that was the deal in the package that you were getting. Like when you bought it, that I was like, that's the best one out of everything right there. You know, like that knowing that they keep the price high on it. I remember thinking that was the bargain you were getting, like out of all the games in it. So yeah, you should sit down and play that tonight, dude. That game is neat. So hope you like it.
So yeah, those were a couple of indie games we think you should check out. Mostly ones that people have kind of overlooked. There's a bunch of other great games that I wanted to say, but people have already mentioned them. Like they've gotten so much news that like you couldn't talk about Wii without like knowing them, like Guacamelee and Steamroll Dig and this game and that game. Star Fox Guard I think is kind of overlooked, but people still kind of know about it because of the main game. But yeah, those are just some cool games to check out. I think we'll wrap it up there. For Eli, you can check him out at Palace Salon on Twitter or on Nintendo Enthusiast. You can catch me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And I'm actually doing things now.
Yay!
So I'm posting weekly updates on my Facebook and Twitter, just little teases of what I'm doing to show I'm not dead and to actually get me to do some work. Actually, the last couple of weeks I have been working on stuff, but for the longest time I wasn't. That was pretty bad of me, but I am now, so that's good. And I will have a new video out this week, and I can say that for certain. Usually, like, I don't really post, like, oh, I'll have this. Well, technically I have, but usually when I think I'm going to get something done, I'm far off. But in this case, it's basically just a couple of graphics I have to put in, and then just like an end card, and then just fixing the audio, and that's pretty much it. So not a whole lot left. It's going to come out this
In other
week
words,
for sure.
another 3 or 4 weeks before this does come out.
No, it's almost gone gold, basically.
I'm just busting your chops. Awesome. Looking forward to it. Keep us appraised.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure have Flea, the manager of our Twitter account, like put a post up there too. So when you got something new live, I think some promotion wouldn't hurt, so that people hear about it. So, dude.
Yeah, and Unoclay, where can people find you?
I am still holding down on the place we all met, we all love, we all remember, we all still go and secretly lurk, I'm sure. My IGN, I'm Unoclay1 on my IGN, along with 1 or 2 other people. There is a Google Plus group out there now, so if were a my IGN or you happen to be listening, I know there's a Google Plus group, and you could drop a post on my IGN wall, and I could put you in touch with that, because I don't think I know a way to just spell out the URL for that. You have to get approved too to get in there, but as long as you're an IGNer, they're going to approve you. It's not a big deal. For people that want to keep in touch, since IGN seems to be breaking down, and maybe by next week I'll have a photograph to put in the blog post for this episode of me busting out, barrel-chested, busting through a Game Boy costume that I meticulously am working on, and then destroying with the breath of my body as I like take a breath and the whole thing rips apart. Like, so, yeah, I'm gonna go work on that right now. I gotta go paint some light up buttons onto the Game Boy. So you'll see me there. You'll see me there real soon.
Yeah, definitely.
So thanks,
pictures.
All right.
I'll see him. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Justin Out of Castle on basically anything. We'll see you next time and leave gaming to Nintendo.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out, 'cause I don't want ass prints on my new door.